Hey, welcome back to Changing Scripts. I am recording from a different device. I'm recording from my Chromebook, which shouldn't work in China, and yet, da-da-da! Again, thanks to the hubby for technical support. Okay, so I've got my coffee, and I've got my notebook, and I'm not going to use any of it to talk about today's topic. I want to talk about something I've known for a long time, and that's counting in Chinese. And there's a lot of people teaching you how to count in Chinese online, and I want to say yay to people that are teaching practical things. I also want to say holy cow, after you have traveled a bit in China or in Chinese in places where Chinese is used, you'll realize there's some difficulties. And I swear some people who only lived in one place in China, whether they are foreigners coming over or locals who were born and raised here, do not believe me at first on this, which I think is really, really funny. So, I think it's funny because there are things that I probably didn't believe about my own country too until I heard different people say them enough times. So that's why I think it's funny. I'm not making fun of people for not believing me. I can exaggerate, I guess, sometimes, but I would never, never exaggerate about language. Okay, so here we go. My tones are still off because I learned how to count in Chinese in Taiwan in 2003, and I did not master tones. I still haven't mastered tones. I think I'm about, a week and a half into even playing with any sort of tones at all. So my tones are off. I do apologize for that, but the actual word minus the tone, which is probably not considered a word anymore because it's missing a large component, and my hand gestures, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. So I'm going to move my hairband out of the way. So here's how I learned to count in Chinese in Taiwan, and then I'll show you the complications that came with this. So here we go. 1 2 3 4 5 6 no, now I'm doing it different. Leo, which for Californians is really funny. Hang 5 or hang whatever. I'm not even a surfer, but this cracked me up. This is 6, right? And then 7 I learned as being this. Don't correct me yet. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So chi, I can't do it if I slow down. Ba, which is 8. Zhou, which is 9, and Shi, which is 10. Again, my tones are crap. I know that. Please don't leave or go ahead, leave a comment about it. I don't care. But doing the hand gestures really helps when you're at wet markets or night markets. Like I went to a lot in Taiwan. It was super easy to do this. I would do it with the sound, but I found that the sound usually messed up comprehension, so I just started doing, I usually didn't get 9 of things. I would get 4 of things or 5 of things. And you know what? There are some places where you count going out and some places where you count going in. And by places, I mean places in the world. And I honestly don't remember which way it was in Taiwan, but I remember 1 2 3 4 5 being 1 2 3 4 5 being these 5 fingers. So I'll say that. That I know. This I know was 6. 7 in Taiwan was this. 8, 9, and 10. Those I'm positive of. Fun fact, in Japan, this is check, please. Okay, not the point. But, okay, so here's the complication. Years and years after that, in 2010, I moved to mainland China, and I was living in Nanjing, and I was trying to do this, and I was getting 8 of things. What? Or I was doing this, or they were doing this, and I was giving the wrong amount of change in Kwai, which is the currency. RMB, Kwai is the bucks or dollars equivalent. It's slang. Anyway, so I was confusing this, and what I found out by talking to a lot of people around China, mainland China, and Taiwan and Hong Kong, which uses more Cantonese, a lot more, primarily Cantonese, but I don't know the numbers in Cantonese. Is it the same? I remember seeing the same hand gestures in Hong Kong, but I wasn't listening for the sound. So that's one question for you guys. In Cantonese, are the sounds very different? Are the words very different from 1 to 10? Okay, but that's not the main point of this. The main point of this is 7 and 8 drive me crazy now because I travel around China for work, And although I don't spend as much time in wet markets and night markets, I haven't actually been to many night markets, if any, in China. That was mostly something I did in Taiwan. They were so prevalent there, and I miss them. Anyway, point being, 7 and 8 drive me nuts. Where I am in Shanghai, this is 7 and this is 8. Now I think if we're gonna go with 7, I agree with Taiwan. This looks like a 7, doesn't it? Right? The other trick I found, or the other tricky thing I found, is that 7, see? Changes orientation depending on where you are in China. Now if you are Chinese and you feel comfortable taking a picture, and can you add pictures to YouTube comments? If you can, please do that. Or if you know any website where people have compared the orientation of 7, please by all means add it below. Even if it's in Chinese, it should have pictures if it compares it, right? So it would be very interesting to see how people hold their hand when they do 7, because I've literally had people when I am in a different region and I do this for 7, and they literally like move my hand to the right orientation, and I go, oh, that's awesome! I don't care about getting corrected anymore. I think it's really interesting how just 7 and 8 change so much within China, and there's so much of China I haven't even been to yet. Seriously, the furthest in I've gone is, and I'm going to say this wrong, Zhengzhou, which is near the Shaolin Temple, and that was just a few days, like 6 years ago. The furthest north I've gone, granted I've been to Dalian now, I've been to Qingdao and Beijing, but just a few days each time with very limited travel and interaction in the language. So, and the furthest south I've gone now is Nanchang, and that was 1 day for work. So I haven't really explored as much as I'd like to, and especially not in numbers. So if you have any experience in different parts of China in how 7 and 8 are used, by all means let me know. Again, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I might have the in or out thing wrong, but generally speaking that's, and is it starting with thumb or starting with, I think it's starting with thumb. Anyway, I'm not as concerned about those because generally speaking, that's never stopped communication from happening. It's never stopped me from buying things or communicating currencies or things like that. So personally, it's 7 and 8 throughout the years that I've been in Chinese language environments that have really caused problems and kind of been fascinating to watch. How different they have been. So I would be very interested in your comments and your pictures if you can do that in YouTube. I'm not sure. If you can't add pictures in YouTube, by all means, Twitter, Instagram, or Tumblr me. It's STEPHFUCCIO. Do not spell my last name slowly. It's awkward. At all of those places, that's my username. So again, we're focusing on 7 and 8 if you're in China, and 7 and 8 if you're in Taiwan. And if I have the orientation different than what you said, also the orientation, not just switching between the two, but the orientation of 7 and 8. Do you hold 7 like this, like this, like this, like this? How do you hold 8? Friggin' fascinating stuff, right? Crazy awesome. Anyway, I look forward to your feedback. Again, this is something I've known for a while, and I just keep building on the differences throughout the years. So so it is right. Please don't leave the comment of, oh, you're making this up. I'm not making this up. This is the experience that I've had trying to use hand gestures to signify numbers in Chinese. So it's not wrong, you just may not know this yet. If you feel the need to leave that comment, stop, ask around, and ask people who have been outside of the area that you're living. That's my disclaimer. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to your feedback. This should be an interesting conversation. Until later, good day, good evening, good morning, good night, depending on where you are. Bye!